10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is August 11th, and we're going to get started here with this news from the GMC. So, Noshwa made a post on the forum yesterday saying, titled Appeal of the July 2023 GMC Results for Rocket Split GA032303. That's the grant number for Rocket Split. So Noshwa says in RPIP 18 allows anyone to file an RPIP disputing the GMC's decision. This post seeks community feedback on the decision to not fund the proposal for Rocket Split. Should be appealed. I'm looking for a strong signal to move forward with the challenge. This is reasoning. Ramana first applied for this project during April. The GMC did not approve and asked Ramana to reapply after incorporating Mentor's requirements. Apparently, these requirements were about the need for a front end for the project. The July reapplication appears to satisfy these requirements. The GMC misunderstood the project when it was decided to decline in July. The team is not working on things that would make Rocket Split obsolete. It is different than NodeSet. Last but not least, I believe this is a promising project and the community has already shown some interest in the concept of marriage contracts. Making them more accessible and customizable makes a lot of sense to me. In the context, then there's the Rocket Split's initial application, Rocket Split's second application, and then the July results. And then Fornak shared his perspectives on Discord, Joe shared his perspective, explained his vote, and I shared my perspective. And Noshwa says not every GMC member commented on the issue at the time of this post. So now there was a vote. Should the PDAO vote on giving the GMC the requested amount? And number one was yes, the PDAO should vote on this. Number two was no, the GMC decision to not approve should be followed. Now, just because someone says yes, this should be voted on, does not mean that they will agree to give the money to Ramana and Long Island blockchain guys. I think it was Rudy who was working with Ramana on this. Well, actually, we'll find out in a second. But just because this goes to a vote does not mean that the people who said that this should go to vote will vote yes in the final vote. For example, here there's me. I voted that this should go to vote right here, and if it goes to vote, I'm not sure if I'll abstain, if I'll vote in favor, if I'll vote against. My stance on the topic, like you can follow this link that Noshwa shared, is quite public. I actually use a managed contract already with Ramana, so yeah. But I really love the idea. So I'm happy to help this go forward to a vote just to see how the whole process works out. But I'm still not sure how I would vote or whether the GMC would vote in the unified block to abstain or anything like that. But those are interesting questions that should come up from this. Waldorf here says, to me, the critical point is the latest decline being based on understanding that shifted rapidly after talking. I said, let's vote on this. I'm happy to see how this goes. And the sentiment seems overwhelmingly in favor of a vote. Carl says, I think I've generally been the most anti-appeal person in the PDAO and somewhat wish we'd not even added it. But if there's going to be an appeal, then this is basically what I think it should be used for. And Long Island Blockchain says, I'm struggling on which way to vote on this. On one hand, it was rejected because of a misunderstanding and we have an opportunity to rectify it. On the other hand, even if we get an appeal and we win the appeal, I'd want to speak with the new GMC administrator to ensure clear deliverables and timelines. It's clearly a function that was missing in the past. So that was something that was noted as well in the feedback, I think, or at least Joe mentioned in our meetings, that there's no deliverables here, there's no timeline, none of that stuff. There was huge missing, it was missing in the application. And then it goes on to say, we picked this project up because it seemed to be a demand for it and we wanted to work with Ramana, and we've done some good work on asset splitter contracts and front ends in the past, and then there's some links, and we wanted to deliver this with the least disruption and most value. So there's some really good points that are made here, and I think that this is going to go to a vote, so it'll be interesting to see how that vote plays out. And then after that, Schifrin kind of acted as a semi-spokesperson for the GMC, and he says, I think there may be a misconception that the GMC would be upset with an appeal. The GMC does their best to get everything right, but they're not perfect. The issue at hand is not the GMC was wrong and they were unwilling to fund this project. I see it as the GMC was wrong, and what do we do now? The options are to negotiate for the next cycle or appeal. And for what it's worth, we do try to fix things after we get them wrong. We reached out to dForce some Val after last cycle to change our stance, hoping to be more transparent about progress updates like these in the future. So that, I think, kind of sums up the position of the GMC quite nicely. I think we'll have some internal discussions about how to approach this particular appeal, and because it's never happened before, so we're kind of figuring things out as we go along. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Okay, some more research, some research questions that have come up in the last day. There've been some really interesting ones. So here, there's this Noshua's wants to research or proposing a change to the rocket pool reward spec and how it works when you are in the beacon queue. So Noshua says, why does rewards tree spec not count validators in the beacon chain queue? I think the active validator requirement is not there to reward validators that are already exited and no longer earning rewards. Validators in the queue are not yet earning rewards, but there is an externality of the beacon chain, and I don't see why we should put it on the node operator. I'm not sure we ever thought about this implication of the spec much, because beacon chain queue was not significant for long stretches. Currently, this works as a strong disincentive to bond reduce mini pools for people with high RPL collateral, because they would receive reduced RPL rewards for one reward period. But the current beacon queue length, a bond reduction right after a snapshot will be able to activate the credit LEB8 in time for the next snapshot. I don't see a reason to treat bond reductions differently based on timing relative to snapshot. I think this Nashua here brings up a really good point. So I've been talking on Rocket Fuel these last couple of days about how the validator queue is getting shorter, and once it's under, like a nice chunk under 28, like around 25 days, right after snapshot, if people who have a lot of mini pools, they want to start bond reducing, and if they're high collateral, it doesn't make a difference if you're under 75% collateral, but if you're a high collateral person, then the higher collateral you have, the more of your rewards you will lose by not getting in, by not having that RPL effective in the next snapshot vote. So because you don't have the mini pools there, right, to the validators there to give their weight to RPL. I really like this idea because these are people who can be a huge benefit to Rocket Pool, and this was actually this kind of idea was bandied about a little bit, but never this kind of in this formalized way. Kind of like when we first started seeing that the queue was going to be 40 plus days. I think it peaked like 46 or 47 days. At that point, we thought it might be 2 reward cycles that people might miss out on. That's a whole lot of rewards. And Marco Barco as well, the other day when he was starting to bond reduce, he realized that Patricio was going to be missing out on a lot of RPL rewards, so he stopped. He did five reductions. And he has over 1,000 validators that he runs, right? Like he did 5 reductions, and he was like, actually, you know what? I'm going to stop here because I don't want to miss out on RPL rewards. So I really like Noshua's idea here. There was a whole lot of discussion. There was like nearly 100 messages that kind of went back and forth. And Valdov says, I think the premise was that you're not yet earning revenue for the protocol. While true, I agree that the cure is worse than the disease here, and it disincentivizes rETH supply creation. If we're doing a small tweak to the specs, I'd also request that we define behavior for the case where nobody is over the minimum threshold. I suggest the entire node operator share goes to the PDAO. This will never happen, but people have brought it up a surprising number of times, and the code crashes is a very unsatisfying answer. And others saying, while it's not productive for the protocol yet, I don't see how anyone can game the system, and we still want to encourage it. Slightly validators online in the future is better than nothing happening. I think node operators locking up their own ETH is enough disincentive to not get stuck in the excessive queues. Would be in favor of giving rewards to pools in queues. And here, non-fungible Yoakum says, our ETH holders earn rewards on the ETH that's in the deposit pool and in the beacon queue. It seems reasonable to me that node operators who are in the entry queue get some rewards, even if it's just RPL. I think this is just about the RPL, not about ETH rewards, of course. Valdov says the tricky bit is the attestation weight part. And Noshua says, we don't do that currently for RPL. So Val says, oh, then it's easy. And then he says, you're definitely right, the wires are crossed. But it says, even if you go to performance-based RPL rewards at some point, it would make sense to just look at relative performance of that. So the mini pools would be neutral while in queue, which makes total sense. It says, I think this rule, and then there's some technicalities about the rules. But yeah, this this idea, I think, was getting some good feedback. He says after the stake is called, it makes sense to include RPL mini pools in RPL, but not ETH reward calculations. There are scenarios where this change could negatively impact the node operator, though if the entire node goes below 10%, but probably appropriately so. So it seems like there might be some niche cases where there might be some problems, and outliers, but I think the gain from this is a lot better than the cost. Patches says, I guess I worry moderately about someone, 1, observing a long queue, 2, throwing a bunch of ETH and RPL at it, and then 3, dissolving their own mini pools after they reap some rewards, and then 4, withdrawing everything. Would be analogous to depositing a bunch of ETH for rETH, selling it right before it clears the queue though, so meh. And Nosho says that would be discouraged because the gas cost would be quite significant for that. And then Patches says that RPL APR is better than rETH by about 2 times, and gas cost may become a non-factor in the mega pool world. So yeah, this discussion goes on. It seems like there might be some niche cases where it might cause issues, but in the general, I think it's a really good idea. And the conversation reached the point where Joe was tagged this morning, and Nosho said, Joe, do you see any reason for not doing this? Do you see any issues with implementing it? If no, what do I need to do to get this into version 7? Make an informal forum about it, and then see if you can include it in your next spec change. If you want me to pull request the spec and make a forum post for version 7 for just this. So it seems like this idea gained a lot of traction really quickly. So it's really awesome that that's you're seeing the whole life cycle of like research, well, from now, how it gets going forward and into implementation. Okay, a little bit more research here, but not really research, but just some ideas being thrown around. And Jasper's talking about how the ARB is not possible right now because there's excess ETH in the deposit pool from people withdrawing, and Tim says, if the developers sent me some RPL to cover from the ARB that I missed, I'd spin up my validators now. And Jasper replied by saying, honestly, a crowdfund plus retro isn't that crazy. Val says it's highly gameable and encourages sibling. And Jasper said, it'd be centralized and temporary, not a lasting program, like when we cleared the mini pools when there was a backlog. And Val says, yeah, potentially it's a little weird because you want people to have clear rules to get a strong incentive, but also not that because people would try to game it. And Nosho says that there's some bad incentives about validators coming online right now, which is we're encouraging people to wait for the ARB, which is not working. We are punishing people for bond reducing with RPL rewards because they don't reward the creation of mini pools with more RPL, because of the way the linear rewards are set up. We're going to be talking about that next. And also, you might miss out on a period. If you bond reduce today, you would miss out on a period of RPL rewards. So it makes sense now that the queue is less than 28 days, or trending towards significantly less than 28 days, then you would wait until the next snapshot before you started your mini pool, because you would, in essence, what would happen is, you don't miss out on any RPL rewards. So there's some bad incentives, kind of like a perfect storm of bad incentives right now, where it's kind of stopping people from starting mini pools. And I'll show you a thing in a second about that. But there's this idea that you can, not sure, joking, saying, whoa, slow down, we can discuss it for half a year in research before you post this on the forum. And that's kind of a comment towards me that I'm going to be talking about next. But yeah, this is a discussion that's going on as well. So Jasper said they'd even throw in some of their own ETH if we can find more people matching. But let's have a look at what the problems are right now with the mini pools coming online, right? So normally we have had approximately, this is not the right, what's his name? What am I looking at? Notes, I think. No, that's not right either. There was a thing about new mini pools, number of new mini pools coming online every day, and basically like once, you know, we went above the ARB point and then there was no ARB, the new mini pool creation basically stopped. Let me see if I can find that information. Yeah, no, I'm struggling to find it. It's here, so maybe it's here in mini pools. That would make sense. No, it's not there, right? Mini pools. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't find it right now, so sorry about that. But yeah, basically what's happened is new mini pools have virtually stopped, and it's really like restricting growth for Rocket Pool. So there's something needs to be done about it. I just don't know what. But what I am hoping for is that as soon as the next snapshot, what happens for the next rewards period, which will be in about 2.5-3 weeks, I expect like literally thousands of conversions coming on. That's what I hope, and I guess we'll see when that happens. Okay, talking about more research here, this is part of the tokenomics discussion thread. So someone made a comment about whether we should move it to the forum now, like, you know, the conversation's kind of dying out in the Discord here, and let's move it to the forum. And I was like, oh wait, you know, should we really be doing that? Like, are we ready for that yet? Like, there's still more discussion to be had potentially. And I said, aren't we waiting for feedback from Wander and Zero? And then Waldorf said, Wander. Yeah, he says, Wander and Pietra and I were talking about possible survey avenues and challenges in the DM. That hasn't gotten any message in 13 days. And then he says that it's been 22 days since Zero mentioned anything, so maybe that's not coming either. And Wander then said he got shoulder surgery and might need a minute to recover. And then Nosho says, I think we want more eyes on this now, and posting a draft to the forum should do that. I'm not sure what Wander and Zero's comments have to do with it. So this was my misunderstanding about what the next steps would be. I think basically what's happened is that the conversation's kind of dying out now in the Discord thread that was made about this. So by taking it to the forum, the idea is that it would bring more eyes onto the question, where people can then discuss it more. And I guess what would happen is in the forum as well is that you'd get more like full and detailed responses and conversation, instead of just like, you know, messages flying back and forth. It incentivizes people to take a minute and like really put out their thoughts. So I think that was more about my misunderstanding. And Nosho says, you know, by putting it on the forum, we'll get more discussion. I think we're not at the point where a survey makes sense. People struggled with understanding the first version of the write-up. So those are all discussions that will need to carry on happening. But yeah, there's a lot of research going on in the Rocket Pool community. People are putting out some really good ideas, and I'm really interested to see how they keep developing. And of course, I'll keep updating you all on those developments. Okay, next we had these couple of tweets. Well, this tweet here from Tenet Protocol, Jasper retweets it and says, "Whoa, rETH is about to be on Layer 0 Labs. It will soon pollinate the entire ecosystem. This makes sense. Who wouldn't want access to the largest decentralized trust network in all of crypto? 3,100 nodes are ready for the multi-chain world." So let's go to the original tweet. Here from Tenet Protocol says, Tenet announces the launch of its native bridge designed around Zero Layer Labs technology on mainnet. So it's app.tenet.org. It says they're going to say this marks a critical milestone in Tenet's evolution, as it allows LSDs to be bridged to Tenet for the first time in preparation for the launch of restaking and Tenet stablecoin LSDC. Utilizing the bridge, Tenet has unlocked omni-chain access to the vast reserves of idle LSDs across other networks, bringing additional utility and opportunity to LSDFi. So what is Tenet? What is this bridge? So they have this Tenet bridge, and the rough explanation is that they're making a new chain, I guess a new layer 1, that will have a bridge across all these other different layer 1s, and they will bring, the idea is that all the staking tokens, the LSTs that are on those other networks, will all be moved to this Tenet network, and that's where like all the liquidity for LSTs will be localized. And they have this idea of basically being the chain of LSTs, not just Ethereum based LSTs like rETH or stETH, but also from other networks. So sorry if I made a mistake in that. Like, you can read this blog post here, this Medium article that kind of explains how it works. So these are some of the tokens that they'll have. It says, you know, Tenet, of course, their own token. Then the Frax ETH, rETH, Wrapped Binance ETH, Anchor ETH, Anchor BNB, Anchor Matic, Coinbase ETH, USDT, USDC, DAI, BUSD, Wrapped ETH, Wrapped BNB, Wrapped AVAX, Wrapped Matic, Wrapped STETH, and Wrapped Matic X. So there's a whole lot of tokens here that they kind of like want to become the hub for all of these tokens. And then they'll have bridges that will go across the other layer ones, Ethereum and other alt layer ones, and you'll be able to send your LSTs kind of across all these different chains, like in the omni-chain world. Now, this is a really ambitious idea, and like it sounds really interesting on the surface of it. However, bridges are huge honeypots for hacks, and there's also like a lot of issues about the, I don't know the correct terminology, but I want to say like the authenticity of a token on another chain from its native chain. So for example, rETH is backed on Ethereum blockchain by the ETH that's staking, right? But then if that rETH goes to AVAX, for example, like it kind of like really like dilutes ideas. But these guys seem to like they want to work on that, so good luck to them. Okay, moving on, we had a couple of updates about the Coinbase article, the Coinbase news from yesterday, the tweets that said that they are buying RPL. So we had articles here from the block. Also, CoinMarketCap had an article about Coinbase making strategic purchases. We got a little bit more information from one of the Coinbase ODAO members saying that, Val here shared the information saying that they clarified it. It says this is the same investment mentioned by Dave, which I'll go back to in a minute. And it says Coinbase never announced it on their end, and now that they have their own ETH staking on Rocket Pool, they thought it'd be a good time to announce both. So here is the post, from February 17th. And I remember at the time that this post actually made quite a lot of shockwaves around like crypto news, like Ethereum news and crypto Twitter. And some of the people from Coinbase actually did comment on this news at the time. But I guess like Coinbase Ventures at the time never publicized the information. So it wasn't a new buy, kind of like we were thinking yesterday. It was just repeating that old buy. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, because it would be nice if there was a new buy. There was ideas of people trying to find their validators, and some addresses were shared, but no one knows for sure if those are their validators or not. Okay, next we had this post from Stake Rocket Pool sharing a new node operator series, node operator interview series, and we had Sunshine Girl Proton who interviewed Nixo, and Nixo, for those of you who don't know, is like higher up in the ETH staker, and she also spends a lot of time in the Rocket Pool community. She's really cool. I met her in Denver and like had a really nice chat with her. Huge positive energy, like really, really cool person. And this interview was a really good one. So definitely give it a watch if you are interested in learning about how Nixo became a validator on Ethereum. It's a really, really cool interview that Girl Proton did. I'm really liking this series. Like huge props to Kent and Sunshine for putting this together. Okay, next, we talked about there being some changes to the Rocket Pool Discord. One of those changes happened here where we got this a new role. So there's a couple of new roles where you can get Twitter notifications. So be the first to know about tweets from important Rocket Pool accounts. Support us by liking, commenting, and retweeting our latest Twitter posts. And another one is smart node releases as well. So never miss a new smart node release. Anytime a new release is posted, you'll be notified, so you can update your node. Thanks for being part of our community. We can hope you enjoy the roles and look forward to seeing you around soon. So when I try to activate these rewards, it gives me an error, failed to change rewards. Now I'm not sure if that's my fault or this isn't fully active yet or something, but this is something that's going on. And then another change that's happened to Discord here is there's a new thread here called Friends. So it says this is the start of Friends channel. You say competitor, we say friends. Chat about other staking protocols and their nuances in here. So if you want to, Patchy says this is where you can talk about dForce, Theta, Swell, etc. without breaking the rules. And Over here, Pateris says we can't talk about Lido though because we're not friends with them. Dukey says Gravita too, but Gravita, I'm not sure if that would apply because they're not a staking service. But I guess this was a nice place to go and talk about other protocols. So here Prada from Diva popped in saying there should be a Discord role called Friends or something, and of course he's from Diva, and Object says where can I buy the Friends token, and yeah, so there's some changes happening. I think there might be more changes coming as well. Okay, next we had Awan, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, from dForce saying our community has voted to list our ETH on our lending protocol. Can I get in touch with someone from Rocket Pool to discuss about collaboration? And then they got in touch with Maverick. So here's the vote that they had. So DIP044, new asset rETH and cbETH onboarding to dForce lending. So there's a whole summary of what it is. The vote passed with 12 million to 0 against, 12 million in favor, and they're listing cbETH at the same time. The motivation is there's a meaningful amount of demand for borrowing against LSDs following Lido's WSTETH, and rETH and cbETH are prime candidates to add diversity to dForce and offer a source of additional revenue through rewards maximizing strategies. For example, users are able to supply rETH and cbETH as collateral to borrow ETH for leverage staking yield, or borrow rETH or cbETH and participate in yield strategies beyond lending protocols. So this is at around 70% loan to value, and yeah, that should be coming online soon. With this Ethereum validator queue I was just mentioning now, the churn has increased. So every 6 minutes now you get 11 validators coming online and going offline, and the wait time now to get through the whole of the queue for 67,000 validators is 27 days and 6 hours. So I expect that by the time the next snapshot happens, that should be down to around 25 days, which I think is a sweet spot to make sure people don't miss out on the RPL rewards. The growth of validators has just been like up and to the right. It's been pretty much a straight line, and that's absolutely amazing. We're at 720,000 now, with another 67,000 waiting to come online. So that will take us up to 800,000 validators, which is phenomenal. Okay, after that we have this post from Maverick here. He said when Valdorf emoji, because there's no emoji for Val on trading. So Kane posted this base Chad, and then Maverick made it into Chadorf, which is like Valdorf but like a Chad version of Valdorf. And then we even got another one with citation needed, so now we have two. Citation needed. Here it goes. So this one is citation needorf as well. So Val's now got two emojis in Discord, which is really cool. And finally, I'm going to finish with this news, of course, that Dybsy and Bree are getting married today. If you want to send them a little gift, you can get this POAP that costs about $10. And also, we're collecting nice messages in this thread here called Dybsy's wedding wishes. I put this together earlier today, so pop in a nice message of support in here, and I think that'll be really nice for the new married couple to enjoy. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I probably won't have an episode on Monday because I'm going to be traveling, but I'll most likely be back on Tuesday with a whole full episode for you all to enjoy. Bye.